All right. Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Air and Air Out. Welcome to episode 2. Welcome back to Air and Air Out. Episode 3. It's episode 4. That's right. We made it to 5 episodes to podcast number 6 of Air and Air Out, to episode 7 of Air and Air Out. Episode 8. We made it 2 months. Whew. Number 9. Almost to the big 1-0. Happy 10th episode, everybody. Very pleased we were able to secure Aaron Brock for the 11th episode. This week's episode brought to you by Jazz. Ooh-wee. We are starting the podcast and I'm already sick of talking. Good evening, you beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Air and Air Out. And we are back with me staring at my face in my computer, but this time I clicked the record button. Oh, that just put me in the mood. I'm ready for a podcast. Are you ready for a podcast? The final air out of 2021. Welcome back, everybody, to Air and Air Out, brand new in 2022. Hello, ladies and folks, and YouTube episode 20, the big 20, and welcome back to episode 21. Hello, ladies and folks, and welcome to the actual episode. Podcast 22, take your roommate to work day. Episode 23. Wow, we have a absolute doozy of a podcast.
And hello, ladies and folks. Welcome back to episode 25. I gotta make the goddamn trailer.
You do gotta make the trailer. Yeah, you do.
That.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 26. Episode 26.
Very cool. Very cool. And with that, folks, welcome to episode 27 of Air and Air Out. Hello, ladies and folks. Welcome to podcast number 28.
Here we are, episode 29. Absolutely, I had a plan for it. Didn't get around to writing down that plan. This podcast even feels weird. Episode 30. Dun. It's episode 31. Oh my god, I just realized I don't have any of my audio files. What's going on, ladies and folks? What's going on, guys? It is episode 33. What's going on, all you silly sausages? How you guys doing out there in Sausageville, huh? If you want to get a happy birthday, listen to the podcast, episode 35. You guys want to hear the comic? I only have half of it because I sneezed and I actually blew the other half on the floor. There it is. Oh, what's going on, ladies and folks? As you can tell from the audio quality, a bit of a different one this week. We are live on location here at Pioneer Provincial Park. Burgerlicious definition, make them boys go loco. What's going on, ladies and folks? Air and Air Out, episode 39. Well, what's going on, ladies and folks? Back again, episode 40. Air and Air Out, 41.
Because when the sun shines, we shine together. Told you I'll be here forever.
Oh, what's going on, ladies and folks? What is going on? Oh, what's going on, ladies and folks? I always forget that we have a dude living in the basement. What's going on, ladies and folks? Welcome back to episode 45? I think it's 45. It's gotta be 45. What's going on, ladies and folks? As you can see in the video, there's a little cloud around me. What's going on, ladies and folks? Episode 47 of Air and Air Out, the sunglasses episode. What's going on, ladies and folks? How you guys doing? I'm doing well. Doing very well. Well, what's going on, ladies and folks? Happy Monday, August 8th of the month. What's going on, ladies and folks? Welcome to big ol' episode 50 of Air and Air Out. But here we are, back and stronger than ever on this episode of Air and Air Out. Episode 51.
When there's stuff on your mind and it's feeling unclear, just hop on the mic and speak without fear. Let's air out.
What's going on, ladies and folks? Welcome to episode 52 of Air and Air Out. That's right, we have made it 1 year of doing this podcast, 1 year of Air and Air Out, and boy, I gotta say, I'm happy. I'm feeling good. I didn't think, when I started this thing, that I'd get a year. Honestly, there's like a lot of thoughts in my head that I would do it for maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks, and then I just like get sick of it 1 week, not do it, and then it would just fall apart like everything else. I try and teach myself in my life. Everything I try and pick up, I just, give up very early. But this podcast has been as I said last week, it's been a mainstay of my life. And it's been a mainstay in some of your lives too. We've had a consistent listenership, not necessarily a huge number, but we've had a consistent amount of people tuning in every single week for the past year, except for the 1 week I took off. I don't remember why I took it off that week. I think I was just like, in a mood, being mopey and pissy and didn't want to do it. But yeah, so like, first off, yeah, the 1 year wouldn't not have happened without me. This can be my Oscar speech. I'd first like to thank Aaron Brock for his continued contribution every single week to sit down and record a podcast, even if it was the 2 hours before he promised to upload the video, even if he moved the release date of the podcast because he didn't do it. It would not be possible without him sitting down every single week. Sometimes not every single week, sometimes like the week after it was supposed to be recorded. But he's human. What are you gonna do about it? But here I am. So thank you to Aaron Brock, the host, editor, producer, creative team, marketing, everything. He does it all, and we can't thank him enough. Another thank you has to go out to my musical producer, Ethan Myers. You've heard that theme song every single week except for week 2, including the special Halloween podcast intro, Aaron Scare Out, and the Christmas episode, Christmas Air Out. Those were some lyrics we wrote there. We really pulled all our stones out of the bag for that intro. And the musical interludes, which I don't use a ton anymore because I don't really do like topic-based things that much, so there's not a lot of places to fit them in. But here's to a new year in the podcast season. I guess season 2. This will be the last episode of season 1 or the first episode. I think this will be the first episode of season 2. So welcome to the first episode of season 2 of Aaron Air Out. So yeah, big thanks to Ethan Myers. Hosted a few episodes with me. Gonna host another one, especially before I leave this house. We gotta get a bunch of things recorded, and keep tweaking and perfecting that 2-man podcast setup. Make sure that audio's all good, so I can do less work when I'm editing it. That's the key. It's not about the quality. It's how much do I have to do post recording. So thanks to Ethan, and thanks to, I guess, thirdly, all of you for listening every single week. Whenever you get around to it, a good like 12 or so people tend to listen to it like day one when it releases, which is really nice. At the start, it was like 4 or 5 people, so the fact that we have doubled that number in a year, super nice. I really appreciate all of you guys. I've gotten some messages throughout the past year, but people talking about the podcast, stories they found funny, things they found helpful to them, things they're related to, all that sorts of things. I love hearing that stuff. So never be afraid to reach out. I love getting those messages. I'm always down for a chat. So yeah, thank you to all of you for making this possible. If there was less than 10 listeners every episode, I don't know if I'd still be doing this thing. But we've had a nice. I don't even know if it like grows and shrinks. It's like a Ziploc bag filled with the hopes and dreams of the squirrels just looking at an oak tree dropping its acorns. So episode 52, 1 year of the podcast. Wow, how did we get here? First, I'd like to thank. No, we're not gonna do that again. So this episode I had like hyped up, big episode, a lot of things going on. It was gonna be an episode with Ethan. You might have noticed by now he's if he was here you would have heard him. You would have heard that man's voice. There's no way he would have stayed silent for this long. So yeah, Ethan's not here. He's at a band tonight. We were gonna make a new intro too, a new intro song for the 1 year. That's I had the idea for it, and then I talked to Ethan a month ago, and then I just never pursued that once again. That's what I do. I'm an idea man, not an action man. So, I just throw things out there, and maybe somehow the universe will make it happen. And if not, whatever. But there should be a new podcast intro at some point. I don't know when. Whenever we decide to actually sit down. Now it's really gonna be a surprise, because you'd think on the milestone episode of 52 we would have released it, but nope. Gotta keep you on your toes. No idea when it's gonna come out. Yeah, so it's just me. I did spend the past 2 hours or so putting together that intro you just heard of all the intros from the past 52 podcasts, I guess 51 podcasts. And that actually took some time. But kind of a nice trip down memory lane. I didn't listen to the entirety of the podcast, of course. And I'd thought initially, like, I'm going to pull a funny clip from every podcast. And then no chance. Then I'd have to, I don't remember what I talked about in each of those episodes. I could maybe briefly from the description I wrote on each of them and the title kind of have a gist of what I mentioned. But overall, yeah, there's no chance I remember the funny stories and stuff, or stuff that people have called out and said like they really enjoyed that. So instead, I just listened to the first like 30 seconds or so of each podcast and tried to capture me saying, "Hello, ladies and folks, welcome to episode 5 of Air and Air Out." And some episodes I did not say the episode number, which really, come on, past Aaron, just screwing me over once again for my cool ass podcast intro. Listening back to that, honestly, a big thing I noticed was like the difference in me like hosting. Like you can just hear me throughout the whole thing, like getting more comfortable in front of the mic. The first episode, I was like in my room whispering, like, "Hey, what's going on? This is Aaron, the first episode of my podcast." And now I'm just, who cares? I can say whatever I want. I could say the N word if I wanted to. If I wanted to, I could, but I'm not gonna say it. But like if I wanted to, that's how comfortable I am podcasting now. And that like the comfort I had, and then also the audio quality has I've really learned, how to manage my audio better. There's still a lot of room to grow. I've kind of found like a nice middle point that I'm like, this is listenable, and then I could continue to further my education on DaVinci Resolve and audio editing and how to perfect this even better. But for now, it's just not in the cards. That's just more work after the podcast, and that's not what we're about here. We're about doing the bare minimum to get by. Oh, so yeah, I think what I want to talk about this podcast. The idea was to do like on the 1 year a kind of a listening party. A review of my first episode. I haven't listened to it since I posted it. I haven't listened to it since I edited it, really. So I think it'd be a lot of fun to go back and listen to that. So that might be tacked on at the end of this episode, depending on how much stuff I have to talk about in this episode, or it could come out as like a bonus. I just have to figure out how to like record my audio or over listening to it. But when I like pause the first podcast, I want to actually pause in the recording. I don't want to have to go back and manually like split up every section when I'm talking about the podcast and pause it and then reinsert the section later on. You know what I'm saying? So as long as I can figure that out, that'd be a nice little fun thing for me to do, and hopefully, I don't think a lot of you. I mean, it is the most listened to episode, but I don't think I don't know how many of the newer listeners have gone back and listened to that because the numbers don't really climb that much lately. So yeah, that'd be fun for you guys to kind of see where I came from, see what you're missing out on in those early episodes, and I can tell you it's nothing. I still don't think they're that good. I mean, I still don't think my current episodes are that good. So I'm really not a great judge of it. I'll never really say something I did was really good. I feel like that's like I feel arrogant and narcissistic if I talk like that. So I try and avoid that kind of speak. But I do think it to myself sometimes. I do think I'm the best. And like I'm so goddamn cool. I'm so much smarter than all these people. And then something happens. Like I'm not smarter than these people. I'm not smart at all. But I am a little smart. I got 2 degrees, so I spent a lot of money to be able to tell people I'm smart through a third-party system of saying I have these degrees and therefore that makes me smart, which isn't even that true anymore because school is becoming so easy and they're like just like handing out degrees if you just pay them the money. But anyways, yeah, what I wanted to talk about was like kind of like the past year. It's been quite a trip for me, not just doing this podcast, but kind of. If you don't know, last year I quit my job as an environmental scientist for 2 years. Making a good living, making health benefits, stable job, stable work. Through the entire pandemic, we were working. We were considered essential. So COVID never really impacted me or my life because I was still just going to work as per usual. I even tried when COVID first started. I tried to get laid off. I was like, please, you're laying off all the older staff. Lay off me, this inexperienced young man. Because I was like 3 months in at RJ Burns at the time. And I saw everyone's getting $2,000 a month for the COVID payment. And I'm like, I want that. I want to stay home and not work. And then my manager's like, Aaron, you're a very important part of the team. And we really appreciate all the hard work you do. And if you need any support, we're always here for you. But we would love for you to keep on growing. And we need you on this team. And you're so important. And I'm like, this is hogwash, man. Get rid of me. Dump me to the curb. I'm a ditch pig. Get rid of me. But it didn't work. And then, a year and a half after that, I had an awkward Zoom call with them and said, hey, guys, I'm going to quit this job to pursue comedy. And they're like, oh, okay. That's very unique. And here we are. September last year, I moved into this house in Waterloo. This bedroom looked very different. There's no paintings on the wall. I didn't record videos of those early episodes, but I'm sure if you went back to I want to say episode 15 or something, like Anxiety Now in Color was the first episode I recorded. So if you look at that, there's probably not that many paintings on the wall behind me. And as you can see now, they're starting to fall off. So soon we'll circle back around to having no paintings on the wall. Yeah, but this past year, I think I have grown a ton. I think I've grown a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I've gotten a lot more comfortable in my own skin and, speaking my mind and, being more open. And this podcast was a huge part of that. Just knowing when I share stories and, thoughts, people are listening and people can relate to them and people appreciate them and enjoy them rather than before. I was talking to a therapist last year and in 2020. Just about things like I never feel like I have a valid opinion to share, or like if I'm gonna talk, I have to say something either very interesting or very funny, and I would never say anything because I'd never think of something that felt good enough to contribute to the conversation. And now the accountability board, that was an old story in the podcast too. It just says at the top in big writing, stop trying to always be funny, just ask questions. And that's kind of been my mantra in socializing lately. Just first off, I found out that a lot of people are also really shitty at having conversations. I think that's like a COVID effect. Everyone was home for a long time. They didn't really talk to new people. They only talked to like their friends and family over Zoom. So everyone kind of sucks at socializing, and that's something is more of a strength for me because I really step up when I feel like I can just be the best in the group at something. So like if we're in a group project and no one really wants to take the lead and be the main presenter or something, I'll be that guy. It's like I'll do it. I'll get in front of the class and talk to everybody. Or if it's like a conversation and we go, oh, we got to go talk to the manager about this, and then I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll be the guy to go talk to the manager just kind of like flex myself. Like, oh yeah, I'll do that. I'm not scared. So yeah, realizing that a lot of people suck at conversations really helped me in my conversational skills, because then I'm like immediately like, oh, I can with some effort be better than you at this. And then if I'm better at it, it's like a gift you can give to someone, a conversation, because then you asking questions, that's my method. I'm just going to ask you a lot of questions, especially new people. There's like an infinite amount of questions you can ask them. You don't know anything about them. You can just like repeat the same conversation, like the introductory conversation with like every single new person you meet, just get like their life story, find out, what makes them tick, what are their interests. And then from there, it's just a constantly branching off tree of just more and more questions you can ask. And then you asking them questions just makes it available for them to like then return that question back to you, and they can just ask it back. And then you can kind of like drive the conversation in whatever way you want based on what questions you're asking. And if you want to answer or talk about a certain thing, you just ask a question about that thing and just hope they toss it back to you, and now you get to talk. And then you open it up to they can ask you questions, and you get comfortable, you get camaraderie, and there you are. You're talking now. So I was never a talker before last year. I was always just the silent guy in the room. Kind of, I would, toss out an anecdote or two if I thought of them, but I would not say more than a few sentences in a conversation, especially with like a larger group of people. Even still now, honestly, bigger groups, I'm not great at it. But if it's a group of people that don't know each other, no one knows each other, I'm better at that than like being in a group of people where they all have a history and they're kind of like talking about past things they've done together, things they remember, and like things from class and stuff like that. That's a lot tougher to break into those conversations because they're talking about things that they all share and that you know nothing about. But even in that situation, just ask them to explain. Like if they're talking about a specific person, ask them about this person. Who is this person? Tell me a little background about them so I can kind of have some insight into this topic you're talking about them, or this event that they were talking about. So yeah, that was a big thing that's changed for me this year. Just getting a lot more social, talking to a lot more people, initiating conversations. I'm very fine with silence. I can sit silently with someone else forever and not feel awkward or uncomfortable. I got no problem with it. But I always feel bad that what if the other person is not comfortable in the silence and like they want to talk and they're going through the same things I used to think in my head of like, oh, I want to say something, but I don't want to come off as dumb or boring. I want to say something of substance. So now I kind of just open the conversation. If you start the conversation, it's a lot easier. Making that first step makes talking to people way simpler. So that is something I have learned in my past year. Um, what else have I learned? I have had one, two, three jobs. I've had three jobs out here. I worked at UPS at the end of last year until they ghosted me. And then I worked at the Loblaws distribution center for 2 months or so at the start of this year. And then I came to Westmount. And the thing I can tell you that Westmount taught me the most, honestly, is that the job is made by the people you work with. I don't think it really matters what job you're doing. If you have like a good group of people that you can like kind of chat with and kind of, just kind of forget about what you're doing and where you are. And I didn't really have to do that at Westmount because it's a beautiful golf course. I'm outside. There's no stress. You can't get in trouble there, honestly. Like I've never been reprimanded or anything. Anytime I'm doing something wrong, there's like, hey, please don't do that. And I'm like, you got it. I'll follow that instruction. Um, but this summer, I had so much fun with all the group we had at Westmount. It was an incredible group of people. Like a lot of people, I hope to keep in touch with for long after I'm out of Waterloo next year, hopefully. Um, but the people definitely made the job far better than it could have been if I had just done my usual routine of just kind of being by myself, which is how I spent the early part of Westmount. For like the first 2 months or so, I was kind of like isolated, not really saying much, just hanging out with the old guys that I had met before, all the young people, and like they had all known each other. So I felt weird trying to like break into that group and like kind of trying to be a guy, that they want to hang out with. Yeah, so I'd like eat lunch at the old guys' table, just not contribute to the conversation, just kind of silently looking at my phone, just waiting for that 45 minutes to pass. And then, I crack some jokes and people start taking a liking to me. And then I start sitting at their table. And then, I just start talking to everybody. You wouldn't recognize if you like knew me growing up through like elementary school and high school. You'd be like, wow, Aaron's really stepped out of his shell. If you saw me like at the Westmount lunchroom, I'm belligerent, honestly. Sometimes I go too far. I love to cross the line, man. I've so many times they have told me that, Aaron, what you just said is way over the line. Too far, too far. But when they're saying that, they're laughing still. So I'm like, well, if you're laughing, that gives me the A-OK to continue to push past this line. I don't want to just like step over the line. I want to see how far beyond the line I can get before someone really gets upset. So until I like stop getting away with it, I'm going to keep making comments about bodily functions or female anatomy or male anatomy or asking people if they're circumcised. Like that's all public knowledge, I feel like. Maybe not, but it is now if you're in the same room as me. And I think like the way I ask questions, if I stand in the middle of a group and say, hey, which of you guys in here are circumcised, I think people then feel comfortable because I'm taking the brunt of like the awkwardness. I am diffusing, saying this is not an awkward situation. I am curious about this question. Please put your hands up and we'll take a census of the circumcisions, the circumcensus as they call it. Yeah. So early on Westmount, not a talker, and then just made more and more friends, talked to more and more people until like for the brunt of the summer, it's just wherever I drove around on the course, there was someone that I could stop and chat with and someone I could talk to. And that just like broke up because the jobs can get tedious. You're doing a lot of the same things every single day. But when you just get those little conversations and like you see someone like, oh, hey, what's going on? What are you up to? Changing holes? Cool. I'm cutting greens. Nice. And you can have a little chat, kind of break up the day. And then you go to lunch and hang out with them again. And then after lunch, you get to go pretend to do your job while you're actually just talking because you're too tired from the morning. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So good people can make a shitty job better. And also, like, the vice versa, the shitty people can make a good job worse. Like, if you had if I had the same job, but everyone sucked at Westmount and everyone was miserable and, like, there's no one to talk to, I don't know if I would have stuck around for this long. I might have just, like, cut my losses and gone to find something else. But because of all of you, if any West Mariners are still listening to this thing after you guys have moved on to your bigger and brighter futures, you guys made Westmount what it is and the enjoyable experience I had. So yeah, thank you to the Westmount Greens crew of 2022 for giving me a great summer. Honestly, one of the best in a long time. I always said town of Innisfil was like my favorite job for a long time because it was very similar. Honestly, it's like in the morning you have a little team meeting with the manager. He assigns you your job for the morning. You go out and do it, come back for lunch, give you an afternoon job, or maybe continue on from your morning job. And then instead of being confined to a golf course, you're confined to the town of Innisfil. But then that same thing is like whoever you're working with that day, if it's like Kevin was the funniest guy, probably one of the funniest guys I've ever met. He was the host of the Lockhart Country Club, which I've definitely mentioned in past episodes, but it was just like a bar under a big willow tree on his farm property that we would go to every Friday for drinks and some merry ganja. But yeah, like working with him, I would always hope to work with Kevin because he was just such a funny guy, and he would talk to everybody and just like make jokes whenever he could and like be serious whenever he could too. I still fall into the hole of trying, like if there's a group of people going on, trying to make a joke to break into the conversation rather than just like asking a question and just like inserting yourself into the conversation pleasantly. It doesn't always have to be some big grand entrance. Here's Aaron, ready to talk to you. No, just be like, hey, what do you mean by blue seagulls have larger ovaries? What? I've never heard of that. So it's just like, yeah, just ask questions and stop trying to always be funny. This is supposed to be like a very insightful episode. I was gonna be very profound and talk about everything, how I've grown so much over this year, and I realized that's like the only two things. The importance of the people in your life is like the main thing I've taken away from this year. I'm not super keen on having billions of dollars. It'd be sick. I'm not gonna lie, it'd be sick to have just like infinite money and never have to worry about bills or anything again. You can always just like tap that card and like never have to think about it. You probably never have to pay your credit card back because like the interest, you can always just afford it. So just like get a new credit card when it fills out. Don't get the BMO app or the TD app. Just get a new credit card and you're fine. Do those unlimited was it like the black cards? Do you what's the process there? What's the minimum payment? Is it still $10 on those cards even if you put like 300K on it? I don't know. I'm probably not going to find out in my lifetime. So if any of you guys have a black card out there, let me know how the unlimitedness works of a credit card. And do you have to pay it back, or do they just assume since you're wealthy, like he's got it, just write him an IOU, and you're good. Yeah. I don't want lots of money, but I would like to have lots of friends, and I think that's what I'm gonna try and take away when I make this big journey that I've been talking about next year, going off on my own and kind of bumming it around Canada. Just trying to like meet new people and be more open and friendly, and I'm gonna have to because I'm not gonna do this by myself and be lonely the whole time. It'd be cool to like stop in like small towns and cities and make a couple friends, stay there for a few days before moving on, and then just having like at the end of it, just having like this network all across Canada of people I've met and like shared like special moments with and like memories that just it's cool sharing like a memory with one person. It's like you and I have this like very limited space where only us like experienced it directly, and we can tell people about it secondhand. But yeah, just you and I shared this one memory. So yeah, that's cool. That's what I want to make. Ed. Gross. Yeah, so I gotta take that with me when I'm driving around by myself, and hopefully being successful and it's not miserable. And I think having people to share it with is what's going to help. And this podcast is still going to keep going. I'm still be talking to you guys. You guys can keep track of all my exploits and shenanigans. And, when I go to prison or when I lose some toes to frostbite or when I drive my car into a ravine, you guys are going to be there for all of it. So, yeah, stay tuned for that in season 2 of Aaron Arrow. It's going to be a big one. This one, for season 1 was kind of the, the baby step. It's going to be a I don't even know. I was going to say a trilogy, but that means I'd have to stop this podcast after 3 years. But, yeah, this first moving to Waterloo was kind of like a simple way to kind of get out of my parents' house and kind of get off on my own. Get off on my own. I've been getting off on my own for years now. it was, yeah, supposed to like, prove to myself that I don't have to rely on my parents to do things for me. And honestly, I didn't like super prove it. I'm still like, I'm a slob still. I don't deal with problems until they like directly affect me. Even if I'm like, this is gonna be a problem in the future, that's a problem for the future. That's not something I'm gonna jump on right now. So still things like that, like maintaining your things and just simple thing like clean up after yourself rather than doing like a big clean every couple weeks. Don't let this room just fall apart till you're like miserable in it, and then tidy it up, and then just let it slowly fall apart again, then tidy it up. Just put things away when you're done with it. It's simple. It takes 2 seconds, and then you can save yourself 2 hours, in a few weeks. Haven't been to the dentist in a long time. Still have two chipped teeth from Wessick from when I took that, when I was blowing a pig. Um, haven't been to the eye doctor to see if I'm still colorblind. Maybe that got better. I doubt it though. Haven't I got a physical a few years ago before I got my colonoscopy, and they said I was in good health. Just stop smoking weed, and I'm still on and off on the weed train. Not as much as I used to be, but yeah, there's periods of heavy use and there's periods of no use. So that's just the way it is. I was listening to Theo Vaughn. He's a comedian that I enjoy, and he was talking about like friends with weed, and he goes, sometimes you just gotta let people run their course with it. It's not gonna kill them. It is, if they're like on it for like their whole life, it is gonna like just ruin their productivity. Although some people like still they smoke weed, and there is, if you can smoke weed and then get into like doing something, it does like help you like laser focus on that task. It's like a spotlight drug, and it just highlights whatever's going on right in front of you. And the problem also with that is that like if you're anxious, that spotlight's right on your anxiety. Or if you're watching TV, the spotlight's right on the TV. Or if you're lying in bed, the spotlight's right on, I don't want to get out of this bed. So you gotta be smart with it, and I'm not very smart with it. So usually it's just like I'm gonna smoke weed, play guitar, and edit a video, and then it turns to I'm gonna smoke weed, lay in my bed, and watch Malcolm in the Middle very quickly. Just it can get away from you super fast. But I still love it. I still enjoy it because it's just such a relaxing, calming feeling. It's just, I don't think I'm ever gonna get rid of weed in my life the way I've gotten rid of alcohol. And weed I can control a lot better. I can take spurts off, and then like slowly ease back into it. Whereas alcohol was just so hard to like get off of it. And every week I'd be like, oh no drinking this weekend. And then Friday comes around, like I'm going to LCBO after work. So I don't know how we got on that topic, but probably not gonna smoke a lot of weed when I'm on my road trip, because one, I'm gonna be driving a lot, so I can't. And also smoking weed by yourself isn't a ton of fun. It can be enjoyable for like a day or two, but once you get into like the 3 or 4 days in a row of just being alone in your room, it starts to weigh on you. The loneliness gets to you, the depression gets to you. So I think I can't. I gotta save it for like a social situations, because I am really good at smoking weed. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really good at doing drugs. It's not a great thing to like brag about, and I'm not proud of it. But when I was drinking, I was really good at drinking. I could put back a lot of alcohol, a lot more than a lot of people. And same with smoking weed. I can smoke a lot more weed than a lot of people. I've never greened out. Never found that limit. And then with nicotine now, I can hit nicotine better than a lot of people. And it's just yeah, you gotta learn. You can't show off your talents all the time. If everyone is super, no one is super, and that's my stance on nicotine. If you're always going hard, you're never going hard. Aaron Arrow, episode 52, trademark. So, what else do we have? What about you guys? You've been listening to this podcast for 1 year. You've listened to the highs and lows of episodes. You've essentially listened to my entire life for the past year. First off, how do you feel about that? As people who know me, do you kind of enjoy getting to keep track of my life for the past year, my ongoings? Do you like those like little check-ins every week? I wonder what Aaron's up to. I wonder what Aaron's got for us this week. Do you guys look forward to the podcast every week? I don't know. I don't hear much. I don't hear much from you guys. I get the odd message every few months. But overall, I'm still doing this thing very blind with little feedback, which is tough. It's tough. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys after 1 year. I'd love, we did those voicemails for the, what's it called, for the trailer. And that was super helpful for you guys. But I'd love, taking callers. That'd be a cool thing if you guys want to like record audio calls and send them to me, and then I can respond to you on the podcast. I think that'd be a ton of fun to do. I'd love to get more like interaction with you guys going on into the next season. So that's one thing I want to change. I'll talk about things I want to do in the future podcast episodes, and then you guys listen to these and then hit me back with other things that maybe I missed. Maybe I'm not aware is something you enjoy in the podcast. It's something I don't like, but you guys think is great. So, yeah, something I want to do, listening back to that episode, first off, is get Ethan on more episodes, especially since we got like dwindling time here. Essentially, we're halfway through September now, which is nuts. We got like October, November, half of December. And I think Ethan's away for some time in between going to conference in November. So, yeah, the time hanging out here in Waterloo is coming to an end. So I got to record some episodes with him. I've got one planned out that I want to research. And I think it'll be a good one. I think it'll be informative and it'll be a lot of fun to chat about. It would also be good to talk to Ethan about how his past year's been living in this house. That'd be some cool insights to get, see from another perspective, hear what he has to say about the podcast, get a direct connection to our audience. So getting more things with Ethan done, getting that new intro done. I think also on top of just doing more practice with Ethan, getting more, I'm saying a lot in this podcast. That was like the first thing my dad told me after episode 1 is instead of saying don't say anything. And as you can tell, easier said than done to just know there's a live mic in front of you. You feel like you have to make a noise. You feel like, I don't want to have any dead space, so I just got to fill it with buts, and hmms. So I really held in that where was I going with that? Because now I'm just thinking about do you believe in after I was talking about having more podcasts planned out, having more topics planned, get those musical interludes back in. As I said, Ethan created those. So doing more planned things on the podcast, a lot of these past like 10 weeks or so. The last thing I had really planned out was like the end of chapter episode talking about Marin and all that stuff. And that wasn't really like researched. That was just stuff I hadn't been able to say for the past 5 weeks on the podcast that I was just like, I can get rid of this now because there's going to be no repercussions. But yeah, looking into more things I'm interested in, having more topics. Speaking of which, I've been putting up the video episodes on YouTube. If you haven't known that, Aaron the Brock, youtube.com/Aaron the Brock. And I put up the acid trip episode 3 days ago or so, 3 or 4 days ago. Just like not really thinking about it. I just kind of upload them and then I don't do anything. I edit the video, put a thumbnail on it, copy and paste all the description, everything, throw some hashtags on it, and see you later. I don't check the stats or anything. It's just, it's out there. It's whatever it does, it does. And that acid trip episode has actually gotten, I'll get a live count right now, just to let you know, it's been doing much better than every other episode. Usually they get like 8 to 15 views on YouTube. And hold on, I'm trying to multitask here. So, 43 subs. We actually gained a subscriber since I last checked this. I wonder if it's the guy I just responded to the comment on. Very cool. Whoa. Okay, so I was gonna brag about a smaller number. So for reference, episode 50 is put up on September 10th, has 9 views. Episode 49, I gotta edit that intro, and I gotta edit that title. Episode 49, I put up on September 8th, it has 8 views. And then the acid trip episode on September 7th, so a day before the September 8th episode, had 8 views and 9 views. 175 views so far. That is, like, for any video on my channel, I guess that's the best of any video that's not a short, and the shorts are kind of cheating. So that is actually my best viewed video on YouTube. 175, wow. 3 comments, 5 likes. I think I like the thumbnail in that one. I enjoyed it. It's a fun, colorful one, so I think that works out. We only gained 1 subscriber from it too, but that could be a listener. He could be listening, he or she, or they, or whatever pronoun they choose to go by, could be listening to this episode 52 right now. Could be a new fan. So if you are, welcome to the first episode of season 2 of Aaron Arrow. We would love to have you. It's a great community here. We're gonna take care of you. But I think the reason this acid trip episode is doing so well is because I put like acid, LSD, and all that stuff in the the tags, and I'm pretty sure everyone thinks I'm on acid. They're clicking the video expecting it to be a podcast of a dude on acid, whereas it's actually just a dude quietly talking after the acid trip when he's like all mellowed out, the opposite of peaking on acid when he's just like relaxed and calm. So it's definitely like a old bait and switch. Like they're not getting what they're expecting out of it. But still, I mean, not a lot of negative comments. I don't really. Should I see how long people are listening to this thing? Should I can check. I'm gonna guess they're listening to about 30 seconds. 30 seconds, that might be generous. Like just before, if they're even getting to the intro. Yeah, +1 subscriber from this video. Average view duration 2 minutes 39 seconds. Not bad. Not bad. 4.6%. I don't know. They watched 4.6% of the podcast. So they got through my little intro thing. They listened to the intro song, which is key, and saw the intro video, which I still love that video. And then they realized I'm not on acid, and they're like, this guy's boring. Get rid of him. But 2 minutes 40 seconds, baby. 175 views. We're like a YouTube star now. And I had thought about doing a podcast on acid, but if you listen to that acid episode, very hard to string thoughts together and like coherently say something, which I guess could make for an entertaining episode, but I think it would get very frustrating if it was like a 3-man podcast with Ethan, Martin, and I, and none of us ended a thought. We would just start tangents and try and explain it, and then we can't, and then someone would just jump to something else, and all of us on our acid brain would just jump onto that topic too, and then just nothing would get talked about. No one would enjoy it, unless, I guess, if you did acid and then watch the podcast, you might understand it. But other than that, yeah, it'd be incredibly difficult to do a podcast on acid, but I'm kind of open to it. Maybe if I like planned out a bunch of like just found like obscure questions, or if I just made up obscure questions that don't like have any relevancy to like current events or anything like normal that they talk on a podcast. Like I can't even come up with something on the spot right now, but just random like ask the internet kind of questions, like dumb questions in that sense, and then just have people on acid elaborate on it. I think that could have some potential for an episode, but we'll see what the guys think about that. But that is super exciting to get 175 views. Why does it say I have 44 subscribers? I don't. I have 43 subscribers. Unless I just gained a subscriber while recording this. I did! Look at this! It's literally growing before your eyes, ladies and gentlemen. It just went from 42 to 44 in the span of 10 minutes. That's right. I knew it. I knew 1 year podcast was all it took. I was actually listening to some guys on a different podcast. They were talking about what podcast was it? It was he just had a movie come out. Joe List. Joe List made a movie with Louis C.K. 4th of July that I want to check out. Actually, it's supposed to be like a movie about like a really anxious guy, and he has to go back home to his parents' cottage or something for the 4th of July and admit to them that he's sober. And I guess it's like a heavy drinking family. It's kind of based on a true story. So I was looking at Joe List, and he has this podcast with another comedian, Mark Normand, and they've been doing this podcast called Tuesdays with Stories. I want to say I've never listened to it. I'm like aware of it out in the podcast universe, but I've never sat down and listened to it because there's just too many podcasts out there. But they're saying like, oh yeah, we're getting like 100,000 downloads per episode, which I'm like, oh, that's really good. Like that's you can get ads on that, then you can make some money off of it. That's real nice. 100,000 episodes. That's kind of like the dream to get to. Getting to like the millions and millions is very, very tough with the oversaturation in the market. And then they said, yeah, how long have you been doing it? And he goes, 9 years. So we're only 1 year in, and they've been like, they're comedians, they're public, like known people. They go to shows, they're much bigger than I am, and they're still just getting like 100K after 9 years doing this podcast. So really the key is just to stick to this thing, just keep hammering it out. And the video on YouTube gained some subscribers, almost at 50 subscribers, and I've never marketed this YouTube channel. Maybe now that we're at 52 episodes would be a good time to finally throw this podcast out there somewhere, market it in some way, or just continue to rely on you guys to tell your friends. And I could just keep getting new jobs and then telling telling my coworkers that I do a podcast, and then just slowly gathering people in that way. Just I have to get people to know me first, and like, okay, do you like me? Then this podcast is just an hour of me outside of work time. So if you're interested in that, go check out Aaron out. So that's really cool. That actually just turned my mood around. My mood was already good. My mood was fine. I wasn't even gonna do this podcast today. I've said that a billion times. Then I was like, I'm just gonna make the intro, and then I figure I'm here. Why not? So cool, very cool. I don't know how we got to this tangent. Talk about the acid episode. How did I get to talk about my YouTube channel? Why did I go to talk about that? I don't remember. So, the sketch we filmed, I'm gonna try and sit down and really edit that this week. I haven't put a ton, like I've selected the clips I want to use, and I got them like in order, but I really got like really, get the cutting board out and get the bacon and the parsley and the chives and the cheese, and really, put it all together into a delicious sketch that I can put up hopefully at the end of this week. I promised on Friday. I was gonna take Friday off because Will's actually coming up this weekend. Big weekend planned. But I think instead I'm gonna take Monday off, and maybe next Monday on episode 53, that if I have the full day off to kind of work at it, and I can put it out Monday evening. But is Monday evening a good time to upload a YouTube video? Who's watching YouTube on Mondays? Maybe Friday is better. I don't know. I gotta look up what the best time to upload a YouTube video is. But yeah, I honestly just editing this. It was a very basic editing for putting this podcast intro together. I said to listen to every single podcast intro and just chop out the beginning, stick it into the timeline, put them all together, find a 4-minute song that kind of fits an epic build up, and then here we are with the intro you heard. So yeah, I think if I just sit down with the footage, I'll get lost in it, and then I'll recapture that joy of editing and making a lot of jokes in it. And hopefully not I think the key would be to like over edit it and then take it back, rather than being like, oh, you should add. I think it's either take stuff away than it is to like, oh, add something here. We don't know what it is, but you should add something here. So that's the goal. A new game was coming out that actually I want to get back on the gaming channel scene, even though I put up 5 episodes, I think, of In Sound Mind, have 5 more on my computer sitting doing nothing, and just I haven't touched that game since June, I want to say. I think I started the series in May, recorded for an hour and a half in May, or an hour and a half in June, and now we're in halfway through September, and I haven't touched it. So I don't have a great track record. Maybe it was the game, though. The game I was talking about, I think I have to pull up Steam again on here, just do more sidetracking stuff. It's like a soul successor, or whatever that phrase is, a spiritual successor, but it's not like directly related. I guess that's what the spiritual means, to Paper Mario. I love those Paper Mario games, Paper Mario and Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. Then after that, they started like switching up the formula to like Super Paper Mario. I enjoyed the side-scrolling one where you can like flip between 2D and 3D. I played that a lot on the Wii, even though I only had like 3 Wii games though, so that's kind of why. If you bought a game, you had to play the hell out of it. But this game is called... Where is it? That's not it. It's not even it's not in my wish list on Steam. So I don't... Paper Mario spiritual successor. Something about the ghost. Something about a ghost. Geez, I'm just gonna shut up and then just cut to when I found it. Musical interlude. The Outbound Ghost. This game, I'm just watching the trailer right now, and yeah, it looks like Paper Mario, like the first 2, Paper Mario and I guess Thousand Year Door. It looks like Thousand Year Door. It looks really fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun to play through it on the channel. Very simple, like cartoony, fun game. The horror games are kind of niche, but I guess it's like an RPG. It might be pretty niche too, but I think there's enough Paper Mario fans that maybe that could entice an audience. Planned release date September 21st. So yeah, maybe that'll be coming out. Sometime in October, or maybe. See, the key is I'm gonna have a lot of free time in December to like play games and make stuff. I really am only gaming on Thursday nights with the boys when we have our games night, and also I've installed Clone Hero, which is like it's a PC version of Guitar Hero and Rock Band. It's all free. Every song's free, and it's Guitar Hero on the computer for free, and you can get any song you want. So I've been playing a lot of that lately. just getting those fingers back warmed up, getting that dexterity going. I actually think it's going to help my actual guitar playing, because my fingers aren't super, they're not quick and they're not that strong. So getting them moving. Also, obviously I got to still play real guitar, which is currently tucked behind my bed from when I went back home, and have not taken it out of its case since I haven't played since Monday. Last Monday. When is that? Was last Monday Labor Day? Oh geez, I thought it was like 4 days since I played guitar, and now I just learned it's been about a week. So that's gotta change. But yeah, playing a lot of Clone Hero. That's a lot of fun. I'll honestly just be able to get like whatever song you want. You can usually find it, and it's a ton of fun. So if you're a Guitar Hero Rock Band fan, you should check out Clone Hero. We played so much Rock Band back in high school. That was like our go-to game. After school, we go to Ethan's house, and Ethan's fridge was just full of soda. It was incredible. He had so much soda, and he had snacks. He had those. I would always get those those bistro microwave meals, like a chicken parm pocket, and it's just so unhealthy for you. But you grab that and a Dr. Pepper and go sit on his couch in the basement, watch him play some Rock Band or play some Modern Warfare 2 split screen. Yeah, we had a lot of good times. But I was pretty sick after Rock Band, honestly. I think I had 235 gold starred songs on Rock Band 3, which is like 99% on the song, like a really high score. And then I've been playing the drums here, and I've lost all my entire sense of rhythm, my coordination between my hand and foot, and just like the stamina on my foot and that bass pedal. Normally you're supposed to, like, I guess, pivot at the ankle and like kind of press it down like you're pressing a gas pedal. However, my technique was always just put my toe on like near the bottom of the pedal and just kind of like bounce my knee to get it fast, so it has like a smaller range it has to go through. And I can't do either of those. It's either too much for my calf or it's too much for my thigh holding my quad holding my leg up. So yeah, I'm shitty at drums, but I'm getting better. My fingers are getting better at guitar. So take what I can get, I guess. Maybe I have to bring the old ion drums back up here for a few months. Bring the Xbox 360 up, play some Rock Band 3. But I feel like ions would probably work on Clone Hero. Just a USB plug. Oh, but anyways, what else do I want to say? I had one podcast topic written down. You want to get into that before we wrap this up? I guess I'm not going to do the reaction to the first episode. That'll have to be a extra episode after if I get all that video edited, then I can work on that. And that's going to be not too bad. It's not going to take a lot of editing. So I'm not too weird about that. But yeah, the one podcast topic I wrote down, I don't know why I'm laughing, right? It's not super funny, is what is the most efficient way to use a napkin? That's something I was thinking about this week. And it doesn't just apply to napkins here. It also applies to toilet paper. So kind of both of the two. So why don't we start on the toilet? Start in the bathroom. If I'm going to wipe my bum, my technique is first pull off as much toilet paper as will come on like a good tug. I'm not counting out squares. I'm just going to firmly grasp the top of the toilet paper, the paper that's hanging down, grasp it near the roll, give it like a slow pull and then an immediate tug. And usually get like 3 or 4, papers with that. Sometimes if it's a tough roll and it's not spinning well, if you need some WD-40 on that toilet paper dispenser, you might only get 2. And then when I get those sheets of paper, I immediately curl it up into a little ball. So it's like a wadded up napkin, and then proceed to wipe my butt with one side of this curled up ball of toilet paper, drop in the toilet, rinse and repeat. So immediately I'm not thinking, as a comfort standpoint, it is very nice. That little ball gently slides between your butt cheeks, and then there's like enough of like all the like the different crinkled up edges and all that, a lot of little nooks and crannies that when it passes the area of butthole containing the fecal matter, it kind of like does a nice scraping off of all that extra excess feces, and then will be deposited into the toilet receptacle. So you do that like a 3 or 4 wiper usually. Sometimes, when you're wiping your butt and you can it's still slick, like you're like 5 wipes in and it's still, that toilet paper is just gliding right, like you're hydroplaning on your poo in your butt with this toilet paper, and it's never ending. It's just mushy baby food up there. You're just jamming it. It's like you're just dipping it in a jar of peanut butter and putting it right back in the toilet. So I was wondering if there's got to be a more what's the most efficient way to use toilet paper? Are any of you out there the fold up make your toilet paper nice. And I know some people will like rip all their poop toilet paper rolls that they're planning on using. They'll pre-rip it and then like fold them up nicely and then use them in order as like a nice flat sheet to wipe. Like you're wiping your face with a nice napkin, except instead of your face, it's your anus. So if you're doing, is that more effective than doing my little capsule technique? And if you're using a flat piece of paper, are you using both sides of it? That's what I really want to know. Are you wiping with the top, then flipping it over, and then first off, how are you going to grasp it? You're going to put your fingers back in that poop? Because you can just wash your hands after. So if that is the case, that's fine. I'm okay with that. And then you wipe with both sides, so you're getting double the use of that. You're using both plies of that toilet paper, or you still just one side wipe, drop it in. Because then if that's the case, I feel like neither is more efficient. I guess if I am using like 4 pieces per wipe and you're using only 2 folded up, you are using less toilet paper. But the amount, I feel like if I didn't cut down my 4 rolls down to 2 and cuddle that up, I bet we're getting the same amount of efficiency here. And honestly, I feel like mine might even be better because the round, the wad ball also doesn't just scrape the roof, it scrapes the sides too. It's got a girth to it, so when it's passing right between the anal canal, you're getting 270 degrees of coverage. And if you got big butt cheeks, you might be getting 360 degrees if once you insert it, your butt then closes around your hand like analogy, So if you're using that flat piece of paper, I feel like you're going to get a lot of force on the roof, but then the sides are kind of just going to be draping over your fingers, and you're not getting a lot of pressure on the sides there. So you're only getting like one channel, and then you'd have to go back and like you're washing a window, get each side with more toilet paper. So in that instance, I'm thinking my wad technique might be better. And it's more comfortable to grip. Your fingers are staying, it's like you're using a cutting board. Your fingers are curled up and you're just on the bottom of that toilet paper wad. Whereas the other technique, your hands open. I feel like it's more available to have a fecal deposit on your fingers. So that's my stance on the toilet paper debate. And that same thing applies to napkins. Ever since I started doing this whole facial hair thing, I've been using napkins way more than ever. I used to just be a hand guy. Wipe my hand on my face, then hand onto like the chair or my pants or whatever, some kind of fabric, and then hand clean, face clean. It's someone else's problem to clean the furniture, or my clothes are going to the laundry. Either way. So if I'm using a napkin, again, I don't use that napkin flat, and like, this is where I think I'm really efficient. I'm going to go on the other side of the debate here. I still wad up the napkin and then, wipe my face all off with it and then discard that napkin. Second time, I'm probably going for a second napkin. I'm probably burning through a lot more napkins and paper towels than I need to, because when I cuddle it up, I'm covering way more of that surface area in like random spots. So if I were to like unroll that napkin, you would see splotches all across it. Whereas if you were smart with it and you used it as a square, you could like plan out, like, I'm going to use the top row here. I'm going to, you start in the left corner and just work across the top. And now I've still got 3/4 of a napkin for future wipes. Whereas I'm just going to end this meal with a pile of used crumpled up napkins that are probably like 80% available still. Like a lot of free area, but just because there's like that food on like this outside layer that you can see, you don't see that inner volume that is untainted. You're just seeing, the gross part. And then I don't want to put that napkin back on my face because I'm like, gross, that's a used napkin. Who did that? I did. But, my head, I'm not aware of it. Like a dog can't see his reflection, So that's what I wanted to kind of gauge you guys on, is what is your napkin efficiency? Are you guys, I feel like it's a lot about people's personalities. I'm kind of a lazy guy. I'm a slob. I do things the easy way, not the effective way, and that's why I just do the wad technique. Also, on the same stance, any guys out there who are uncircumcised and have foreskin still, do you pull back your foreskin when you pee, or do you just plow right through that foreskin and just whatever direction it goes, you gotta then adjust to get it into the toilet? Because that's my technique. I've never learned the pull back technique. No one ever taught me that when I was peeing, so it's just been, hold my dick with one hand, Other hand is doing whatever it's want to do. It's got free reign. And then just, account for the random variability of where the stream is going to go. But other guys out there, do you pull back and just always maintain perfect accuracy and efficiency? That's what I want to know. Are you supposed to do that? Is it cleaner? Because technically I am just getting pee all up inside my dick. But that's like where pee comes from, so it's kind of supposed to be there, so I wouldn't feel too bad about it. So let me know on that one, and then everyone else. Ladies, I don't think you can really answer about the... Ladies got to wipe after they pee, too. That's crazy. Do any men out there dab the tip of their penis with toilet paper after going to the bathroom? Or do you just let that one little dribble get in your underpants and just... Nothing you can do about it. It's just a fact of life. Death, taxes, and pee in your underpants after going to the bathroom. Could just happen. So, yeah, that's the big questions. Did I start this topic on what I wanted to hear from you guys about changing the podcast? Is that how we segued into here? I don't. That's how we got to the acid thing. That was way back. We really got off track there. So anyways, yeah. That's like all I got. We're deep into this podcast. Not going to do that reaction video, as I said. So that's what I want to hear from you guys about. 1, napkin efficiency, both facial napkins and rectum napkins. I want to hear both stances. Are you a curl and wad or a flat and fold? Let me know. 2, men with foreskin. Do you pee straight through the foreskin? I guess, ladies, I feel unfair giving the men more questions. I want to be equal opportunity podcast host here. If you're wiping your nether regions after urination, how many pieces of toilet paper does it usually take? Is it the same as pooping? What level of poop is equivalent to a pee? Are all pees equal? Do you pretty much know, like, is a long pee versus a short pee more toilet paper? Or is it because it's just like the excess it's only going to catch, certain amounts? And what are you wiping too? Are you wiping the inside or the outside or both? I wish there's a woman here right now that I could ask her the question, but luckily our fan base is it was nearly 50-50. I'm going to look right now. It's probably not 50-50 anymore. I think we're starting to get a bit of a sausage fest going on in Air and Air Out, and that's fair. There's been some phallic and rude episodes. And the more I get comfortable doing this thing and just getting more of my getting my own sense of humor getting out here. But let's see, what are we at right now for men? Oh, 92% male, 8% female. So I don't even know what females are still listening to this thing. And like 92% and 8 on 17 listeners. That's like what, one female listener? Is that it? So the lone female who has stuck it out for Air and Air, that's in the last 30 days. In the last 90 days, we had 20%. Yeah, it's really been dropping the last few episodes. So this one's for the ladies out there. Hopefully we can bring you back onto this podcast and stop this mass exodus. And gents, if you were trying to meet honey by listening to this podcast and hoping there's going to be meetups, hope you like dicks, because it's not looking good for you. But on a serious note, if there's anything you guys really enjoyed about this last year of the podcast, any memories, anything you want to share, please feel free to reach out. And anything you want to see continue in the next season or get started, a new idea, something I might have teased at but never actually endured, or something I did once and then never did again. Anything like that, any insights, very helpful. I'm very open to your feedback. Even if, like, what, Aaron, you were great in the first 20 episodes and you've really sucked in the last 32, I want to hear that before I block you. So, yeah, anything you got, hit me with it. I'm open ears. I can take criticism well, and if I don't take it well, you'll never hear from me again. So, thank you for listening for the past year, and hopefully for the continued next year to Air and Air Out. I plan to be here every single week. The day of the week, honestly, who knows when it's going to be. It shifts around. It's the surprise podcast. It's just it comes out when it's needed. It's like a wizard. It arrives when it precisely has to. So, thanks for listening, everybody. 52 weeks. Here's to 52 more. Aaron, out.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Now take what you learned and have a great day. Damn, it feels good to air out.